Isn't it interesting this time of year how everybody just assumes you're Christian, buy into capitalism, or really love just buying gifts? The universe isn't just out there, it's interacting with you. Claim your power by embracing the unknown. This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, and I'm here to ignite your curiosity. Don't just listen, embrace it. I had some extra time today between appointments, and I didn't just want to sit in the car. I hadn't really planned on having such a gap. And I thought, you know what? I will go into a store and just use some time. The store didn't open until 11, and I had noticed that there were a lot of people sitting and waiting in the parking lot for the doors to open. There were also a lot of men, which is unusual for men to be waiting to get inside a department store. And you know what? Some of them had crazy eyes because I think there's a lot of pressure for them to get a gift that their significant other is really going to love. When I walk into the store, the lady asks me, "Are you shopping for anybody in particular?" No, just myself. I mean, I'm buying gifts for me, I guess. And it's interesting how, like I said, people just automatically assume that I'm Christian, that I celebrate Christmas, that I am going to buy into capitalism and just spend money just for the sake of spending money. And I just find it interesting that there is still a pressure for people to purchase. I probably need to add my disclaimer now that I probably would be considered a Grinch by many people's standards. And it's not that I don't like the idea of giving gifts. It's the idea and the thought behind the gift. Like, are you really giving a gift because of the generosity? Or are we all doing these gift exchanges because we feel like we should? And that's where I have the problem with the gift giving. Some of my emotional response has been building up over the years. I remember some holidays after my sister had just gotten married or was in the relationship. I think they were married at that point. So I was in my teens. She was a little bit older than me. So she was out of the house. I didn't really feel like I grew up with her per se. And, well, her husband was just an ass. He still is an ass. He still is an ass. Gift giving was somewhat of a joke to him. And there was one year, and I probably was, 13 or 14. I got a gift, and, he's just laughing. He thinks it's hilarious. Well, when I take the paper off of the box, it is completely wrapped in duct tape, like a whole roll of duct tape. Of course, I took the time to take it off. I probably should have just went and got a knife, but you know what? I was 13, 14. I wasn't using all of my life skills that I had. And then inside of the box were hangers. And he thought this was just hilarious. And I look back at that situation now. Again, this is one of those situations that a lot of us Gen Xers have, is we have these moments that feel inappropriate now when we reflect back on them. Like, why did this person think this was funny? And why didn't anyone else say anything? And this was a situation that had continued. And there came a point where I became an adult and we were still doing gift exchanges. And I don't know the full situation there. I assume that based on some of the information that I heard that he didn't like to spend money on people. And so that just, in my mind, that goes to he doesn't value anybody else. He only values himself and he doesn't appreciate other people. And it became a situation where I was buying thoughtful gifts at a certain dollar value, and I was not receiving those back. And, in my mind, there was a definite imbalance there. And I was a single young person, and they were a married couple, both of them working. That imbalance there really started to just chip away at me. And until I reached a point where I said something to my parents, I'm not doing this anymore. We're not doing this. I'm not going to continue to buy presents as a single person when I'm getting crap back. I have more situations like this that have continued to happen over the years. And now, as an adult person that I am, gift giving in my mind seems like it is not from this, it's not always from this pure place. I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty jaded. I have experiences that have shaped me. And I've reached a point in my life too where it's like, if I need something, I am going to buy it. And I don't know why we are, unless somebody is truly, truly, truly in need, why are we just buying things and exchanging things? Like, if I'm going to spend $50 on you and you're going to spend $50 on me, why don't we just keep our $50 and buy our own stuff? I mean, that's how my mind works. I don't have a problem with buying gifts for kids if they really need something. But I do see a lot of kids with way too much, that their toy boxes are overflowing, their outfits. I mean, there's only so much they can use. There's only so much that they need. There's only so much that they can consume. And I know I sound like a Grinch, and I'm okay with that. And when I look back at some of these formative circumstances and experiences that I went through, I often reflect on the dynamic in the family and how I was the child. My sister was an adult. My brother-in-law was an adult. My parents obviously were adults. And yet, this uncomfortable situation was just allowed to unfold, that nobody wanted to say anything. Nobody wanted to speak up and say the uncomfortable truths. Nobody wanted to say anything on my behalf. Like, why are we doing this? Why is this funny? I have a friend who gives me a hard time about blocking people or disconnecting from people on social media. This friend just thinks that, I'm not sure what she thinks, whether she thinks I'm mean or cold or what. I go back to some of these situations that I've experienced and realized I didn't have a network of people who were willing to step in, even when I was a child, and speak up on my behalf, protect me on my behalf. And at this point in my life, I set boundaries with people. I disconnect from people who have very different beliefs than I do. I block people who are not going to treat me in the way that I feel like I should be treated. And it's called a boundary. And I think at this point that there aren't enough people who are willing to do that. We talk about boundaries, but people don't feel like they can do it, or they don't do it because they don't want to be known for that person. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just keep my front door open and let people into my life that don't want to respect me and where I'm at. And some of this was brought up to the surface with me recently as well when I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about families and disconnections within the family. And there's a high percentage of people who are experiencing disconnections at this point. One of the topics that was discussed was we have expanded the definition of trauma. There used to be a time, like when I was growing up, there was just a lot of mean-spirited people. And it seemed to be more acceptable to make fun of people and joke about people. And it was really hurtful. When we look back, we realize that was very traumatic for people and still is traumatic. And there's also something to be said about, we can't heal ourselves when we're still in the environment that is causing the trauma. We can't heal when we're still in the family dynamic that hurts us. We can't heal when we're in that intimate relationship with somebody that makes fun of us and that hurts us. And I can honestly look at my Grinchiness and realize that there are layers there upon layers, and that it's not just one scenario that brought me here to this point. And I don't have a problem with giving gifts. If we're giving gifts to people that we love in the purest forms and we're giving from our heart, that feels very different to me than, like I said, than a big extended family where we have all of these shoulds and we have these people that don't appreciate, we have these people that don't need it and they donate it, then why are we even giving gifts? And I'm one of these people that believes that why don't you just give a gift when it's not a designated holiday, when somebody's not telling you to do it? Can't you just find a day out of the year and be thoughtful without some corporation making this holiday up so you buy things? Or can you not just stop and get a sweet gift for somebody just because? I mean, that has so much more value than these corporate manufactured holidays. And I don't like seeing the social media posts of the quote stars and all of the obscene gifts there. What brings joy to my heart is I saw a post where there was a professional athlete and he paid off school lunches for people across his city. And it was $600,000. Those are the kind of stories that remind me of Christmas, that remind me of gift giving, and that warm my heart. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.